If you're new in town or just new to this whole podcast thing, you're tuning in to Lore by Night, the podcast that discusses all things vampiric with no fear of breaching the masquerade. In this episode, we are going to go through everything you need to know in order to create your own Ghoul and Revenant in Vampire the Masquerade 20th Anniversary Edition, or V20 as the elders call it these days. Before we properly sink our teeth into tonight's episode, I wish to tell you what you will need in order to follow along with me to make your first playable Ghoul or Revenant in V20. First and foremost, you will need a copy of the V20 core book, either as a physical or a PDF copy if you are a weirdo or allergic to books or something. If you are playing the game old school with the archaic devices known as pen and paper, you may have a friend or two who is willing to lend you their copy, but as more and more fledglings are seeking the likes of Discord and Roll20 to play, it is highly unlikely someone will just lend you their book from afar. For this tutorial, I will be using another book alongside V20. I shall mainly be using the supplement book Ghouls and Revenants for V20, which has a more detailed process on what ghouls are in addition to the Revenant families. The books come with a unique character sheet of the creation of ghouls. More importantly, it details the ghouls' version of the clan weaknesses of its Domitor, the one who granted them the vampiric vitae, a topic that is not really covered in the main V20 core book. There are also some minor differences in how one can spend Freebie and experience points, but we will explore that further when we get to it. The easiest place you can buy both books and other supplement source books you fancy is through drivethrurpg.com. When creating a playable ghoul, it is important to understand how the Domitor's clan behaves, for their vampiric natures will affect anyone who will drink their blood. That said, I'm going to presume that if you are here, you know a fair amount about VTM and have a basic understanding about how some, if not all, the clan mechanics work. You may have seen online chronicles such as LA by Night by Geek and Sundry, now on the World of Darkness platforms, Chicago by Night by Near Dark Studios, and Savage City by Caffeinated Conquests or played Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which led you here, or other online chronicles which in turn led you here anyway. I won't go too in-depth with the clan lords for now. Instead, I will give a brief overview of the playable clans in V20. The Assamites, who have recently adopted the term Banu Hakim, are silent virtuosos in assassination who collect blood to bring them closer to their maker. The Bruja, or Bruja, were once philosopher monarchs of an ancient civilization, but are now deadbeat rebels. The Ministry, once known as the followers of Set, adopt the idea that Set, the Egyptian god of the underworld, is their maker, and do what they can to manipulate those around them, whilst protecting their own strange artifacts. The Gangrel resemble the beasts associated with vampires more than any other clan. The Giovanni is a strange insular family who embrace only within their family. They practice necromancy whilst dictating global finances, something they have been doing since the Renaissance. The La Sombra are inhumane nobles who are able to manipulate the darkness around them. Clan Malkavian are broken by madness, each one ranging from unhinged to batshit crazy. The Nosferatu are hideously disfigured upon their embrace, so they hide in sewers away from kine eyes. If you want to find out something, go and speak to one of them, as they hoard secrets. The Ravenous are described as gypsies by other kindred, but there is more to them than that, I assure you. They are powerful tricksters who can force the mind to see what really isn't there. Toreadors enjoy every sensual pleasure that unlife has to offer them. They appear to like pretty things, but is all terribly forced to make them seem as human as possible. The Tremere became vampires through treachery and trickery, wielding supernatural blood magic and impressive knowledge. The Tzimisce distance themselves from mortality as much as possible, for they are old world lords of eldritch horror, as they are able to manipulate flesh and bone as if it was some grotesque putty. And finally, through their self-imposed entitlement and greed, the Venture are often the iron fist that rules a given city, imposing their own wills and traditions onto kindred society. Another reason for using the V20's Ghouls and Revenants book is that there is more information regarding the Revenant families and their disciplines. If you would like more information on Ghouls and Revenant families, I recommend you listening to my episodes on Ghouls, Clan Tzimisce, and Clan Bali. Once you have the core book and any other source books you want, you will need a character sheet. DriveThruRPG doesn't easily provide PDF copies, so you will have to look elsewhere to find an interactive PDF character sheet. For this episode, I will be using the mrgon.rocksolidShells.com interactive sheet, but there are others available should you wish to use a different format. It should be noted you cannot use the V5 character sheet when creating your V20 ghoul for reasons we will soon explore. With that preparation shenanigans biting the dust, one can now begin to create their V20 ghoul. There is no system or dice roll to be made when determining your character's Domitor, unless you really want to. It is entirely down to you which clan member you wish to feed from. VTM uses the storyteller system, which encourages players to become one with their character, to embrace them, as it were. The kindred of the world of darkness, the universe in which VTM exists, usually do not embrace mortals willy-nilly, nor do they ghoul mortals with the same lack of purpose, meaning that there was a reason as to why you were ghouled by your Domitor. What sort of person were they in life? What did they do? Do they still do it? Remember that ghouls still walk in the sunlight. How do they go about doing it? Where and when were they ghouled? As a ghoul, you, your storyteller, and possibly the other players in your session should also consider some additional questions regarding the relationship between Domitor and ghoul. How does one educate them in the way of the kindred? Honesty and patience, or blood bonds and deception? Does one even bother telling them, or does one just dominate them into submission? Was your Domitor even the one responsible for finding you, or did a headhunter bring you to your Domitor? Do you know this headhunter? Does your Domitor offer you consent, or are you tricked with or without the use of disciplines? Is the relationship personal or impersonal? These are just some of the questions that should come to mind when building your character, as it is their life as Kain, a human, that will determine the stats and concepts. Finally, you need to decide what sort of ghoul you are. The most common type of ghoul is a vassal, who are the sort of ghoul everyone is used to thinking of, blood puppets to their Domitors, their masters. Independents are just as they sound, they are not bound to their Domitor for one reason or another. Think as to what made the ghoul leave their Domitor and how they obtain their blood without one reliable source of vitae. Finally, there are the Revenants, families that are the result of centuries of vampiric contact, infusions of vampiric blood, and inbreeding have transformed the Revenants into a distinct type of supernatural creature. They are most common within the Samitsi and the Sabat, the independent Giovanni clan, and the Barley bloodline. Now, let's turn our attention to the top of the character sheet, where you should be able to fill most of these out by yourself if you are new to the process. Name is your character's name, be it their actual name or a pseudonym. Write down both. Player is obviously you. Should you have problems with that, I suggest seeking some help from a therapist or your doctor. Maybe both. Chronicle is the name of the story that you're playing in, such as London by Night or Follow the Law by Night Twitter page by night. Concept is your character's notions, which should coincide with the answers to the questions I previously asked you. For example, if you were making a kindred, Tremere Stage Magician, Nosferatu Hacker, or Venju CEO would be stereotypical concepts for the Cainite character. That said, there is nothing stopping you wanting to be a Brujar Ghoul journalist or a Toreador Ghoul kickboxer, as these could complement the needs of the Domitor quite nicely. Clan is whatever clan you first fed from, including the clanless Kaitiv. In V20, Thin Bloods are a purchasable flaw at character creation. If you are making a Revenant, write down your family name, which in turn defines one's clan. Domitor is similar to Sire, but it is the vampire that you are feeding from currently, which could be the vampire that made you a ghoul. This may change as the story progresses, which you can change at a later point. As for my example character, Abel Kozma was born in Romania but raised in London. Whilst his family were all fairly athletic, Abel took greater joy and comfort online and playing video games and general computer wizardry. Bullied by his siblings, their friends, and pressured by his family to take up sports, he begins to resent and hate them, almost to the point of murdering them. Abel would then meet an anti-tribune Nosferatu Hacker on social media, the latter seeing Abel's hatred and humanity, but knowing he doesn't have it in him to slaughter his family. This information and Abel's computer skills are brought forward to Drazovlav, the Priscus in London Sabat, who was looking for someone of his skill set, but not wanting to embrace him. Yet. Kidnapped, Abel is forcibly ghouled to work for the Sabat. Through violence, torture, and horrific body modifications, Abel is stripped of most of his humanity, doing what he can to prove his loyalty to his master, hoping to be properly embraced into the clan and make furniture for himself and his PC made from his family. If you have filled out your character sheet correctly, there should be 2 boxes left for you to fill out. Nature and demeanour are very similar in definition but are very different in how one would use them, for they define how you and your character interact with the world. Demeanour how you would choose to represent the character to the world, whilst nature is how they truly are. Both nature and demeanour splinter off into many archetypes, each one providing different ways for players to regain willpower, a finite resource a player may use in a tricky situation or to resist entering frenzy given the right circumstances. There are lots to choose from, so I will let you discover those for yourself. But to add to this new information to Abel, his upbringing in a sporty athletic family has made him a tad competitive. It is not the taking part that counts, it is the winning that matters. Life is only made up of winners and losers. Life is unforgiving, and Abel has carried that with him into his life as a ghoul. It would make sense to me that his demeanour was competitor. He would regain willpower upon succeeding at a test or a challenge, which is not the result of a singular dice roll, but an entire dramatic situation. As hinted earlier, Abel has grown to resent humanity. He wants those around him to suffer, and being under the care of a Samitsi has certainly confirmed his mind on this. Therefore, Abel's nature can only be sadist. Arguably, it could have been the monster nature, but that archetype feels to me it is more for scaring people, whereas sadist is about inflicting pain and heartless suffering. He would regain a willpower point whenever he'd inflict pain onto someone, just for his own pleasure. Now that you have established some lore regarding your character, you should have an idea what sort of person they are when you assign points to your attributes. How do they solve their problems? Fighting, thinking, or talking? How do they naturally interact with the world? The attribute section is made up of 3 categories: physical, mental, and social. Ghouls are weaker than vampires, but stronger than humans, so the amount of points to spend reflects this. Each attribute starts with 1 point, then you add 6 dots to your primary attribute, 4 dots to your secondary attribute, and 3 to your tertiary group. No ghoul is disfigured or monstrous looking at this stage, so you needn't worry about 0 appearance, unless you purchase the appropriate flaws and merits later on. Abel is a hacker, slowly adopting the idea using his new strength. He has never been one for socializing face to face, and has also been modified by his Domitor's use of vicissitude, so he is not pleasant to look at, even less so than before. So, mental I would think is the primary attribute, physical the secondary, and social the tertiary group. In the physical attributes, I have put 3 points into strength and 2 points into dexterity and stamina. In the social attributes, I have put 2 points in charisma, 3 points in manipulation, and 1 point in appearance. And perception, intelligence, and wit in the mental attributes all have 3 points. Dice rolls in VTM are usually made up of 1 attribute plus an ability, as there are many ways of demonstrating feats of strength and intelligence, unless you are wanting to deadlift a donkey, for example, as that would be pure strength by my reckoning. The abilities are divided up into, from left to right, talents, skills, and knowledges. Similarly to attributes, abilities are prioritized in primary, secondary, and tertiary groups, with no skill getting more than 3 points at this stage. No point in the ability section must get more than 3 points at this stage. Understand? Good. Again, ghouls and revenants get fewer points to spend on their abilities, for they are not fully fledged vampires. Yet. The primary ability gets 11 points, the secondary ability gets 7 points, and the final ability gets 4 points. If you put any points in crafts, performance, or technology, you have to assign a specialty to it, which would add a dice to any role where said specialty would apply. For example, if your character was an iPad expert and was attempting to repair your iPad, you would gain an additional die when repairing it. The V20 Ghouls and Revenant supplement book offers players to invest points in a new skill and knowledge. Ooh, how exciting. The Veil of the Blood skill is the inverse to a vampire's Blush of Life, which makes the ghoul appear more vampiric than they really are. This is recommended for independent ghouls. Sabbat ghouls and revenant families cannot invest in this skill at this point, but can learn it throughout the story should your ghoul decide to jump ship to another sect. The Custodian Expert knowledge assumes the ghoul as being a chief steward of sorts. Mastering this skill means you are an Alfred to your Domitor's Bruce Wayne. This knowledge is usually possessed by some Camarilla ghouls and occasionally revenants. The distribution of Abel's points will reflect his knowledge with computers, his desire to hurt people, with some consideration taken for his Domitor's teachings in law and medicine, to better understand an Abel's dreams of learning vicissitude through an embrace. In the talents abilities, he will have 1 point in awareness and brawl, and 2 points in intimidation. In skills, he will have 2 points in crafts, 1 point in drive, 2 points in firearms, and 2 points in melee. For his specialty in crafts, I honestly couldn't come up with anything in particular, so why didn't you let me know what it should be? Come up with something fun and exciting. And finally, in the knowledge's abilities, he has 3 points in computers, 1 point in investigation, 2 points in occult and medicine, and 3 points in technology. And his specialty in technology is hacking computer systems, which is his favourite party trick. Next is the advantages section, which is where the character creation process truly becomes unique. On the left plane is the disciplines, which are your blood-based mythical powers. The way ghouls and revenants acquire their disciplines is ever so slightly different to how kindred might. A vassal, a ghoul under the care of their Domitor, has 1 dot and a discipline from their Domitor, one that would make sense for them to have. An independent may select 1 discipline of their choosing, providing the storyteller approves of it. As a rule of thumb, physical disciplines such as celerity and fortitude are easiest for ghouls to learn, in addition to animalism, auspex, dominate, fortitude, obfuscate, and presence. Try to come up with a reason as to why your ghoul obtained this discipline if they are an independent ghoul. If your ghoul is a revenant, then you choose one of the 3 disciplines found within the particular family alongside potence. In fact, regardless of the type of ghoul you are wanting to create, all ghouls get a point in potence. You may wish to forego this idea if you wish, as the V20 Ghouls and Revenants book suggests you can choose 2 clan disciplines instead. For simplicity's sake, a bear will have 1 point in potence and another in auspex, which is one of the disciplines practiced by Clan Tzimisce. After this we move on to backgrounds, for which you have 5 points to spend. These should support the character concepts. A havenless independent is unlikely to have lots of cash, for example. Ghouls cannot choose generation and have no need for herds or the mentor background. Ghouls cannot purchase status either. In addition to the backgrounds found in the main V20 core book, the V20 Ghouls and Revenants core book provides some additional ghoul exclusive backgrounds that I don't want to spoil for you. Except for one. And that is the Domitor background, which is essentially the same as generation but specific for ghouls and their Domitors. Bel's Domitor is the 7th generation Tzimisce, so I have to put 4 points into that for him. And I have 1 point remaining, so I've put that in domain. Following this is the virtue section, which provides the moral backbone for characters and how readily they resist the temptations of the beast. Mechanically, these stats define how they resist frenzy. Conscience and conviction governs a character's sense of right and wrong on the path of humanity or enlightenment. Self-control, or instinct, is how they maintain their composure and hunger. And courage determines their gumption and their ability to withstand the dangers of fire and sunlight. All ghoul characters start with 1 point in each of these. Sabbat ghouls and members of the Revenant families, be it Sabbat or Giovanni or Barley, spend 5 points on these, whilst other ghoul types spend 7 points. A Bell under the teachings of a Tzimisce elder is very likely to be taught under the path of metamorphosis, a path of enlightenment that controls the beast by studying its limits and the limits of vampirism in general. The paths are a systematic and philosophical effort to destroy our sense of humanity, replacing it with different sociopathic ethics rigid enough for you to exhibit an ounce of self-control. None of them allows the player to do as they please. That being said, both V20 books state that Path of Enlightenments cannot be taken during ghoul character creation without explicit permission from the storyteller. Fortunately, this is my fucking tutorial and I'll do as I bloody well please. I have given Abel 3 points of conviction and 2 points in instinct, as both of these factors are looked at when creating a character using the Path of Metamorphosis. And he also has 3 points in courage. Now, to determine the Humanity and Path score, it is the Conviction and Conscience score plus the Self-Control or Instinct score. So, 3 plus 2 is 5, and that is his Path of a Metamorphosis score. As a follower of this path, he also gets the Inhumanity bearing. Metamorphosists work steadily to become something other than human. Bearing modifiers apply to intimidation, as well as any manipulation roles that can positively be affected by frightening the shit out of people. And the willpower score is exactly the same as the courage, and as Abel has got 3 points in courage, he has 3 points in willpower. Easy peasy. You'll be pleased to know that we have almost finished creating your V20 Ghoul. Now you can spend 21 freebie points, 6 more than you would if you were making a kindred. There are some things to keep in mind when spending your freebie points, however, which are different from how a V20 proper would have you distribute your freebie and experience points for Kindred. Attribute points cost 5 points, abilities are worth 2 points. To increase a discipline, you have to spend 10 points. Backgrounds cost you 1 point per dot, as does your humanity, path, and willpower. With regards to disciplines, ghoul disciplines are capped depending on whom the Domitor is. A ghoul whose Domitor is generations 13 to 11 has their discipline capped at level 1, a generation 10 or 9 Domitor's ghoul has their discipline capped at level 2, generation 8 and 7 have ghouls that can reach level 3 with their disciplines, a ghoul whose Domitor is generation 6 or 5 can raise their disciplines to level 4, which means that only Domitors of generation 4 can make their ghouls reach discipline level 5. As a reminder, in addition to the change in freebie point expenditure, the way that you spend experience points is different as well. The amount required is significantly higher to reflect the difference in power between Kindred and Ghoul. A new ability costs 3 points. Only Tremere ghouls can learn a new thaumaturgy path, and they must spend 20 points. 20 points must be spent if the ghoul wishes to learn a new discipline, provided they have drunk the blood of a kindred who knows that discipline in-game and has been taught how to use it. If you want to increase that new discipline to the next level, that will cost you the current level times 25. To increase willpower, it costs the current rating. So, if your willpower is 5 and you want to make it 6, you have to spend 5 points to make it 6. To increase your humanity, path, virtue, or ability, it is the current rating times 2. To increase a new attribute, it is the current rating times 5. Should a Tremere ghoul want to increase their current thaumaturgy path, they have to spend the current level times 15. I suspect Coldonic Sorcery and Necromancy would have a similar cost amount for Giovanni and Samitsi ghouls respectively, as neither are mentioned in the core books. Finally, to increase a clan or family discipline, it costs the current level times 15. There is also the option of buying merits and flaws that make your character all the more unique, each one being physical, mental, social, or supernatural. Merits grant you special advantages that make you stand out from the rest of the kindred in the Chronicle. Or ghouls, you know what I mean. Flaws are the exact opposite and are worth adding to the character sheet. After all, no one is perfect. Each merit has its own point cost expenditure, and flaws add a certain number of freebie points you can spend. You can purchase as many merits as you can afford, but you can't have more than 7 points of flaws. I have given Abel 2 merits, which come from the V20 Ghouls and Revenant sourcebook, and that is the Vicissitude modifications. It is technically 1 merit, but it splinters off into many different perks of being abused by a Samitsi. With the Vicissitude modifications merits, I have given Abel some spurs and fangs, and I think I'll let you to discover what those entail. As for flaws, I have given him Monstrous and Vengeful, and because I've given him the Monstrous flaw, I've had to get rid of Appearance, and I've put that 1 point into Charisma because I'm a nice, generous storyteller. So let us go through everything now, shall we? I have given him 1 point in Alertness, 2 additional points in Awareness, a point in Empathy, 1 additional point in Computers, and 2 points in Science, 1 point in Resources, a point in Allies, and 3 points in Willpower, because I wasn't particularly happy with him only having 3 points of Willpower. There is also the matter of your blood pool, which is the only resource determined by the use of a D10. Roll it, and whatever it lands on is your starting blood for the session. If you are an independent ghoul, half this number, which reflects the idea of a ghoul not being able to access blood so freely as vessels and revenants. Once you have finished adding these freebie points and rolling your D10, you can finally say that you have made your first VTM V20 ghoul. Yes, the book has all that you need to understand the character creation process, but I have found it sometimes helps to have someone walk you through the process rather than nag your storyteller 100 times. To be kept updated, follow the Law by Night VTM Twitter and Instagram pages to find out when we will upload each episode. You can also find out by subscribing to the YouTube channel and clicking on the little bell, as you will be immediately notified when the latest episode is live. Until next time, farewell.